Happy spring. If you like longer daylight hours, warmer weather, and beautiful flowers as much as me, please hit that like button right now on this video. Hey, I'm Bree. Welcome back to my garden here in the Piedmont of North Carolina. Today, I'm going to talk about the upcoming first day of spring, which is just a couple days away at this point, and to me, feels like the real new year. A much better time, in my opinion, to be starting fresh, setting new intentions, and envisioning maybe a newer year and seasons to come than in January. Even though I have learned to fully embrace the peaceful and nurturing wisdom that winter brings, this longer daylight coming back, the warmth in the air, the new life reemerging, brings so much joy and promise as spring returns. It just is always an exciting time of year, and I love the feeling that comes with it. So we're going to explore all of that and what it means, as well as how and why to align more purposefully with spring, to celebrate the spring equinox and the season to come. We're going to do that through, I'm going to share some simple activities, rituals, and reflections that might inspire you to connect deeper and tune into the qualities of the season, and then maybe set really clear intentions for the months to come and maybe even further. My favorite ritual to welcome this season is saved for the end of this video, so stay tuned for that. I also have a really simple but engaging printable tool linked in the description below that you can use at any time to follow along with at home for another activity near the end of this video. Let's get into spring though. Here in the Northern Hemisphere, the official start of spring occurs on Northern Equinox, which falls on March 19th this year. In some traditions, this is known as Ostara, but this time, this day, seasonal observance is celebrated globally across many cultures as a really important time of renewal. Now, it may not feel like spring exactly where you are or even consistently. That's true for me here in the South as well. But spring is not just about the weather. I guarantee you right now and in the weeks to come, there are plenty of signs and qualities, both tangible and intangible, that tell us spring is arriving. The cycles shift, and as the earth rotates, it cues all of nature, including us, as we are not separate, we are fully a part of nature, to slowly come out from under winter's blanket of rest, stillness, and maybe quieter energy, to shift from a time of contraction to gradually reemerging, stretching out, and expanding towards full bloom. So what are these cues from nature, and what does spring represent? Well, first of all, I would encourage you to take time to pause and notice. Look around. The land where you live, the wildlife you might see, the other natural elements that you interact with on a regular basis. Take time to pause and reflect and observe. What do you notice? Do you see these subtle or larger signs of renewal and life reemerging? It might be buds on trees or even new leaves forming already, more activity from birds, frogs calling, hawks soaring above, early spring ephemeral wildflowers, or even those backyard herbs like henbit, dead nettle, dandelion. You might have daffodils coming up. And a later sunset, you might be noticing that as well. Whatever you notice, there is most likely a sense of new life and rebirth. And this is what spring represents, literally and figuratively, including within ourselves. All around us, the world is reemerging, renewing, growing, and expanding. This is a time of new beginnings, creative energy, cleansing stagnancy that may have accumulated during winter, getting things moving again, and increased activity in that way. So moving from that internal to a more external sense of being and expression. Again, a much more appropriate time than in the dead of winter to be setting goals and thinking of new beginnings. Well, how can we align with these qualities and connect to spring intentionally? We're going to get into that. First of all, in our capitalistic society, this burnout loving culture we're in, I always take a moment whenever I can to remind myself and all of us that nothing is all at once. It is not overnight, especially in nature. And with, even though this is like an exciting season and we're feeling maybe more motivated and we're just like want to get things done, we have time. So remembering that we are a part of these natural rhythms and these gradual cycles, we have all of spring and even longer to connect with the process of renewal. So don't feel like you're running out of time or rushed in any way. My number one favorite way to connect with this new spring season is to get outside, specifically on a hike and specifically in search of these natural cues that for me start with these beautiful early spring emerging wildflowers. So I went on a hike in search of those and so many other signs of new life, and then to cultivate reverence for all of this renewal. This also gets us moving and connecting with the active energy of spring, encouraging lymph to flow that may have been decreased during stagnancy and more sedentary season of winter. And so we're going to break things up, get things flowing and moving, and feel new life start to emerge from within us as we observe that outside as well. I'm filming. That's how you want to be? The next way I purposely connect with this season, and I encourage you to, is seed starting. So this is the perfect time, literally, to plant seeds. Around this time, my summer gardening season really kicks off when I get to start my pepper, tomato, and herb seeds indoors. And next month, I will begin to direct sow all the seeds from my garden outside, and it's just so exciting. I love how these natural cycles align and helps me take some of the guesswork out. I just take the cues from nature and I know how to get my garden going aligned with those seasonal qualities. So happy seed starting season, happy growing, it's so exciting. I also love to do some deep cleaning. You know, this notion and term spring cleaning is not without precedent and not without a sense of aligning with the energy and qualities of this season. So I definitely partake in that. I like to do some intentional cleansing of my home in the next few weeks. It can be sorting through and donating belongings, dusting hard to reach places, anything that is helping to create space for new growth. So we're cleansing and cleaning in service of this idea of making room for maybe new intentions and new patterns of behavior. Especially, I like to wipe down my front door with a water, salt, and mixture with a few drops of an essential oil that reminds me of spring, maybe something like orange or lemon. And I just wipe down my front door really well as a way to think about cleansing fresh energy, to add some protection, and again, that sense of renewal. Also, it gets pretty dirty. Like I've said before, I'm pretty much always inspired to bake something around seasonal observances, and I try to find a recipe that resonates with the season for me. So I thought this iced lemon pound cake was a good fit. It's light, bright, not too sweet. It completely fell apart when I took it out of the baking dish, but that was nothing a little icing couldn't fix or potentially make worse. Anyway, it was really delicious, tasted like springtime. The recipe is linked in the description. Maybe you'll have better luck keeping it together than I did, but regardless, you might have a favorite recipe or a memory around this time of year that you can bake that helps you welcome spring. I think that's a great way to do it. When it comes to food in general, you might start craving lighter foods. You might start eating fresher and maybe more nutrient-dense foods like greens and other produce like that. Again, this can help move around the stagnant energy of winter, stimulate digestion, and even replenish minerals that may have been depleted during winter. Lastly, and potentially most importantly, comes the inner work. So taking time, again, to pause, reflect, journal, set intentions in whatever way works for you can be so powerful, but especially during this seasonal, what's called a Sabbath or observance on or around Ostara. So we're going to head inside to look a little bit more about that, and I'll give you some reflection prompts that you might want to work with, and then we'll do my final favorite ritual together. To really tune in deeper into these seasonal observances, like the equinoxes, the solstices, and even more, I work with what's called the Wheel of the Year. And that is just what resonates most with my heritage and what I know of my ancestral practices. So I encourage you to find what might be more culturally appropriate for you, what really resonates, and you don't even need to have any cultural significance to it because the seasons are available to all of us. So I just wanted to preface that. And now I'm going to show you a little bit about what I use. So I always make a template for each year. And in this tradition, there are actually 8 observances. So the 2 solstices, summer, winter, the 2 equinoxes, fall and spring, and then cross-quarter Sabbats or observances in the middle of those seasons. So every 6 weeks, there's a chance to reflect, a chance to notice what's going on in nature around us, and to set intentions for that coming season. And that's how I find it really accessible, more easy to digest and think through and be more present with, rather than like mapping out a whole year or multiple seasons at once. So you'll see I started with what's called Imbolc in February, and now we're coming on to Ostara. And this is the printable that I created for you. I made a really simple PDF version of this Wheel of the Year that includes the names of each Sabbath and then the dates for 2024. So you might use this to start creating some intentions, to journal and reflect a little bit. I encourage you, no matter what, to think through subtle intentions and then more practical kind of goals and behaviors and things you might just want to do. So I have, for example, renewal for spring, excitement, new beginnings, those kind of intangible, just overall qualities that I want to notice or experience or call into this time. But then I also have very practical things that I can make happen and like check off. And that would be things like starting my summer garden, learning how to can this spring is one of my goals, spending more time with friends and family, going on more hikes, camping, things like that. Getting a new cat would be one as well. So this is a tool that you might resonate with as well, and that is linked in the description. I'm a journaler, so I really like to write things out in detail. That's how I best tune into and get clear on the messages that are coming from within. But you might stick to just a word or a phrase or a few of these things that overall encompass or represent what spring means to you or what you want to call in this season. You might paint or draw instead, express this in some other way, tap into it in some other way. Maybe you dance, whatever it is. Finding that for yourself. And you can even write seeds of intention on small pieces of paper and then plant them in the ground if you want to take this metaphor all the way. Some questions that might be helpful to reflect on during this time would be, what did I nurture within myself during the dormancy of winter that I now want to expand on and see come to life? Those can be thoughts, feelings, behaviors, relationships, experiences, anything like this. What do I want to let go of? What is no longer serving me that can be laid to rest or released? How can I embrace the energy of renewal? How can I fully align with the idea of growth, rebirth, without and within? What do I want to cultivate most this coming season? Where should I focus my creative energy and self-expression? Because you can't do it all, right? What specific intentions do I want to set for this spring? The seeds to plant and cultivate purposefully into gradual expansion and expression. And then how can I support these intentions? What actions can I take to help and nurture these seeds to fully blossom in their time? Happy journaling, happy reflecting. Moving on, as promised, to my favorite way to really tune into and celebrate these seasonal observances, and that is to consult my many oracle decks that I have of cards. I just find this is a way to get out of my own head around it, and it's never wrong. So I'm going to work with my favorite one right now, Herbal Astrology, and I will go ahead and link this as well in the description, but let's go ahead and pull a card together for this coming spring and see what the cards have to say. Okay, so I just shuffled the heck out of these and sat with them quietly for a little bit to ask what we might all need to hear around spring right now, or what's a good thing to call in, what does it represent? Just shuffling them a little more, and we'll see what they have to say. Oh, dandelion. That's really cool. Okay, let's see what the author has to say. There's so much information in this book. I love reading straight out of it. So we pulled dandelion. It says wounded healer. It has the Latin name, which is beautiful, Taraxacum officinale. Anyway, so meaning wounded healer, wounds as tools to awaken, healing journey, inner child healing. The English word for dandelion comes from the French, which I'm not going to pronounce because I don't speak French well at all, but it means lion's teeth, referring to the spiky pointed shape of the plant. Native Americans used it to treat kidney disease, swelling, skin problems, heartburn, upset stomach. Traditional Chinese medicine used it for stomach problems, appendicitis, breast inflammation, and to assist mothers in milk production. In Europe, it has been used to relieve fever, treat boils, eye problems, diabetes, and diarrhea. Dandelion is a survivor. It has an extraordinary ability to withstand hardship and thrive in disturbed environments. Dandelion loosens compacted earth and grows deep taproots that rejuvenate the soil. And this is what it does to the body and soul. Side note, my last video, full video, was all about dandelion, so go back and watch that because this is an amazing plant, and I love that we pulled this card, especially for spring. Okay. Dandelion assists us in renewing, cleansing, oh my god, that's so good, mineralizing, and adapting. Guidance. Dandelion is here to remind you that you can thrive regardless of your circumstances. Take ownership over your wounds, find gratitude in the lessons, dive deep into the depths of your origins, and use your wounding to further define the purpose and healing you are here to transmit and share with the world. No big deal. Don't let your pain define your personality, but draw from it for strength and purpose. You are born from the seeds of a higher order and intelligence. Embrace the great healing power you've been given and go beyond the outlined path. Card again. Beautiful. I hope that resonates for you, or you find a way to find another maybe source of intuition that does. I really hope that this encouraged and inspired you in some way to connect more purposefully with the coming spring season. I really want to know, so please let me know in the comments what you thought, what you got going on for spring, and what your intentions are. As always, I'd love to hear from you. I wish you the most beautiful, vibrant, bright, and cleansing spring of your dreams. Thank you so much for watching. I always appreciate your time. I will see you soon. In the meantime, take good care and stay tuned for the next seasonal celebration of Beltane in 6 weeks. It's one of my favorites. It's going to be really fun. There's more videos to come in the meantime. Happy spring!
Oh my gosh, look at that pretty puppy.